Hello, and welcome to Fort Vancouver Regional Library's 2024 Revolutionary Reads series. This year's series focused on the book Free: 2 Years, 6 Lives, and the Long Journey Home by Lauren Kessler. This year's program was built in partnership with our community organization, the Foundation, Restore and Prepare, and is made possible through generous support by the FVRL Foundation. Thank you for your interest in this program, and as always, thank you for using your public library. Revolutionary Reads is an annual community reads program with the goal of galvanizing the Southwest Washington community to read the same book on a topic of revolutionary importance. Revolutionary is defined as involving or causing a complete and traumatic change, and or radically new or innovative, outside or beyond established procedure, principles, etc. The 2024 program focuses on the experience of incarceration and reentry. This series will explore the challenges, systems, and supports that exist in Southwest Washington for those returning home.
My name is Stephanie. I'm a business navigator with WorkSource. We are going to talk about today some of the job seeker services that we have. When someone comes into our office, we work with everyone from all walks of life. That can be someone who's coming into the workforce after they've been unemployed for multiple years. That could be someone who's coming in after being reentry. We also work with people who are dislocated workers after they've been laid off. We can help them apply for unemployment and then also help do the reemployment services. Some of our reemployment services include the resume review. So we'll go over your resume in detail, make sure that it's tailored to the job description that you're interested in applying for. And then also we can do mock interviews where we'll sit with you either one-on-one or we can do a mock group interview where you'll do a panel. And we'll go over some questions that we've done some research that are on that particular industry. So if you're going into IT, we'll probably ask you some IT questions. If you're going into customer service, we'll ask more personality-based or situational behavioral based questions, right? So that we can help prepare you in the best way possible for your interview. Some of the other resources that we have include partnerships in the community. So we have resources available if you need assistance like housing assistance or transportation assistance, or if you need some tools, we have a child care grant that assists. Thanks, Karen. We have childcare grants. We also have many different workshops that are available between our job hunter workshops, which are more the hard skills, looking at your transferable skills, looking at how to do an interview, then the resume. We also have some of these more soft skills based, where it's talking about coming back into the workforce as sorry, I'm trying to find the appropriate word. They're called encore careers. So you're coming back in after maybe being retired for a few years and you're like, you know what, retirement is just not for me. I want to go back to work. So we're combating ageism. We're talking about how to get involved afterward. We also have, there's a few different workshops. I actually have a flyer for different workshops available this month. And then we also have employment and training. So for an employment and training standpoint, we can help people who are low income or someone who's been dislocated and need to have training for an in-demand occupation. Then we get you connected with a case manager who can help with identifying where you want to work, what you want to do for a living. They also have grants for support services. So if you need tools for your new job, or again, that child care grant is available through there as well. We also assist in veterans. So any veteran gets priority of service at WorkSource. I think that kind of is a big overview of what we do on the job seeker side. On the business side, we go out and we connect with businesses. We bring back their job leads to WorkSource to give you jobs to apply to as a job seeker. And then we also can help advocate for you in their HR departments. So if you're coming back from a reentry situation, we can say, hey, we've been working with this person, we've been getting their skills up to date, we're helping them through this process. If they need anything, let us know. And then we can connect them with the HR department. Thank you. We also host a monthly hiring event on the third Wednesday of every month. We do a general We have general industries that come, but we also do sector focused. So our April hiring event is supposed to be healthcare focused. We'll have a veteran focused hiring event as well. August is our government focus. So if you're interested in working with government, so I think.
Do you know about being licensed bonded and insured?
No, I do not. You want to come up here and talk about that?
So we do have some assistance in the state program, and it's just for folks that maybe have some background concerns that, you know, employers are already screening people out for certain things, but there is a way to become licensed, bonded, and insured. So if you have forgery, theft, burglary, those types of charges or convictions, what it does is if you are able to secure that licensure, what it does is it supports the business. So if they were to take a risk on somebody who has some background concerns, then it protects them up to $25,000. So if they hired somebody with extortion and took that chance and then something happened, that would cover that business up to that $25,000 to try to prevent some of that loss for them. We do understand that we have folks in our communities that we're assisting and attempting to serve in the best way possible. So what we always want to do is meet with people one-on-one. It's not a cookie cutter process, nor should it be. We want to respect where somebody has been, where they're at, and where it is they're trying to go. And so we're going to sit down, go through some assessments to try to figure out and get some of that information so we can try to help develop a pathway for you. Whether that is just going straight back to work, entry level, do you need to go back to school to obtain training, education, or certification in order to secure employment. So we do have grant funding that we receive. It's federal grant dollars. So it comes down from the federal government. They kick it down to the state of Washington, who then kicks it out into its local communities. And then we have a workforce development board that oversees those funds, how we're spending it, and that we are good stewards of those dollars. And so what they are then doing is, here's how you can spend it, and now go do the work. So we have grants currently that help provide some support for childcare, knowing that that's a barrier for a lot of folks. We have a grant right now that is actually supporting specifically the business. So we don't have to do eligibility for somebody coming in as an employee, but it's supporting Black, Indigenous, or Latinx owned or operated companies. So that's from management level up, and that way we can then support the hiring needs for those individual companies. We have on-the-job training programs where we're not providing that training. We're actually trying to connect you to local employers who are saying, we're going to bring you on, and as you transition and onboard into your new role, we're going to provide you necessary training to be successful in the position you were hired to do. We incentivize that hiring by saying, if you hire an eligible candidate, we will give you back $5,000 at the end of the participation timeframe. That is meant to be an ongoing job that lasts 12 months or more. It's not temporary. It is not just through the on-the-job training portion of that, but it is meant to be your full-time job. We should be icing on the cake. It should never be, I'm only hiring you to get to the OJT reimbursement, but this is just your job. We come in and support. We support both the business and the employee to make sure that it is a good, successful fit for both parties. If it's not, then an employer always has the right to terminate that employment. But what we would like to be able to do is to still be part of your support team and find you another place to land so that you don't have these huge gaps in employment. We have another program that are paid internships. What that is up to 240 hours of paid experience time. It's a learning opportunity. So it is not meant to be an employment placement. However, I highly encourage all employers to hire the person they just got done training. Otherwise, you have to start all over. But it's up to 240 hours. You become my employee of record. That's how I'm able to give you a paycheck. And then we send you to a host site. So
what are the requirements for the internship?
So everybody, you have to be eligible to receive the grant funding. Eligibility is something everybody wants to know, but we do it very individually because in fact, we want to find a way to screen you into our services and make you eligible. Our job is not to tell you no, it's trying to find a way to say yes.
So I'll give you a brief overview, but it's not 100% encompassing of all eligibility, okay? Two primary pathways and two services. One is what we call an adult, and the other is what we call a dislocated worker. So an adult, what we are looking at is just income. How much money comes into your household and how many people is that income working to support? That's it. And we can go up to 175% of the federal poverty level, which is still grossly underestimated. So for a single individual, an annual max annual, don't quote me, is about 23,500. Certainly not enough to live on for one individual. Under the dislocated worker pathway, there's a variety of ways to be considered eligible. The ones we tend to see most frequently are being a veteran, spouse of a veteran, or caregiver to a veteran. As Stephanie mentioned, veterans have first priority of service in our office as a way to say thank you and then give back for the sacrifice that they made for us to be able to do and say the things that we want. So that would be first. Second would be if you're on unemployment, eligible for unemployment, exhausted at unemployment. If you are what we would call a displaced homemaker, and really what that means is that you've had another adult in your home who had income. That adult has left your home, taking with them that income where you're no longer able to access those funds for support. Typically, that means they left through separation, divorce, or death. Another way would be owning and operating your own business, but having to close the doors due to economic downturn. You know, if you weren't making enough money, you had to shut the business down. And then we're looking at have you lost income over time? Maybe you had a job, maybe $20 an hour, the last one was 18, and the most recent is 16. Lots of income. Series of layoffs or being let go multiple times over time. So we're looking, and those are just the drop in the bucket. There's really a hard variety of ways, but that is the absolute reason why we want to have an individual conversation, review all of the data to make sure that we're finding a way to connect you to our contracts. We have, best guess, maybe around 8 or 9 contracts right now that are providing financial support. And each of those have their own eligibility caveats, little extras that we have to look for, which is why we want to make sure we're doing everything and building a strong financial plan. So not just one grant. If you're eligible for 5, we're going to put you in all 5. Make sure we have as much money as possible to get you to the next step of your journey. You can have worker training. So even if you were working for a company and they needed to upskill you to make sure that you have the most relevant skills for the job that you're doing, continue to make you relevant in your industry, and it allows you to be marketable with other employers also. So that's a service that your employer could look into to make sure that you're trained in a way that they see best fit for you, and we pay for that. So there's a variety of ways, and our truly our goal is if you walk through our doors, how can we help you connect to employment? Undeniable, that is the #1 thing that we're going to do. We try to create a list of employers that we know might be a little more flexible or will be open to hiring folks that might have background issues. And what I will say is that industries that we thought were pretty stiff on that and not flexible at all are actually starting to open up. Also, healthcare is one of those, which is the industry I serve predominantly, but not for every single role. But they are being a little more open and understanding that we just have some struggle in our communities, and we have so many people that have skills and have experience and knowledge that they can bring to these agencies and organizations, and we are losing out on that. So we want to find a way to best support those connections. That's in a nutshell. Are there any questions? Yes.
So, you know, we have such a mobile society and people being in one state for a while and moving somewhere else. To participate in WorkSource, do you need to be a Washington State resident, or how does that work?
That
That is a very great question. So for that, somewhere there has to be a foot in a county that we serve. So you have to be let go from like a Washington State company, or you have to be a resident in Washington.
You have to have an attachment to the local workforce.
It's solely based in Washington.
There's WorkSource offices all over the US, honestly. We work closely with our Workforce Development Board and WorkSource agencies across the river because we're so close and we have folks that are traveling back and forth to those communities. So we have warm handoffs for those types of situations to make sure you get best connected. But every agency has different grant funding, which is going to have different eligibility qualifications. So what we're saying as a foundation may be true, but they may operate differently. And their support might look a little bit different too. One thing I didn't say that I should have, while we do support the businesses, we have support funding for our job seekers also. So when you secure employment or you're going to school, we want to make sure that we are removing any financial barrier that would otherwise prevent you from participating. So if it's gas or a bus to get you to and from school or to and from the job, we'll do that until you start earning a paycheck. Do you need work clothes, work boots, tools? We can do that too.
Interview clothes.
Interview clothing, yeah. So all of our stuff is work related. It's moving folks to work. So partly because I'm female, but I do like to get my way. So no is never a no to me. It's like, let me see what I can do. I'm always gonna go back to policy. And they tend to do it sort of general in certain things. To me, that's my open door. I just have to find a way to wordsmith that so that they can see that this makes sense and on off we go. So I'm all about spending the money. It makes me look good. It helps you out, helps our businesses out, and everybody's happy. So.
And most of the time, if we have to say no for one reason or another, we do our very best to connect you to resources that say. I know today might not be no 2 months from now, and I know 2 months can be an extremely long amount of time. So we have folks that might have stopgap employment. Maybe it's a minimum wage job. It's never really going to go anywhere, and that's okay. It's just putting something in your pocket for right now while we continue to pursue whatever it is you're really trying to get to. And that's okay. So sometimes if it's income based and that's how you're going to be eligible, some people maybe they had income in the last 6 months that kind of tips the scale in the wrong direction for them. But if you haven't worked in the last 30 days, that income that you've had over the years going down. So sometimes it's really, we just need to pause, but we can start working on getting your resume together, cover letters, practicing the interviewing. Where do you want to work? Do you need training? There's so many things that we can work on and then get you eligible. So now we can really put all the money into place to make all the stuff happen.
So how did somebody take the first step?
Just come on in.
Where are you located?
Our office is off 136th and Mill Lane. Our doors are open 9 to 5. I will stay at the state agency. I typically have worked in nonprofit, except for this job. And I have never ever seen in my life 5 o'clock, lights off, out the door, they're gone. Flat. Like cockroaches. It's amazing to me, but they honor work-life balance. 5 o'clock, go home, be with your family, come back and do the good work tomorrow. We want to do the same thing here. So you're welcome to just come in when it works for you. If you want to go to the employment training orientation, get connected to an employment specialist who's going to do the eligibility, do some assessments and see how we can best support your works stuff that you want to do. Then I would say come to an orientation. My preference is in person, just because we can get to know you. I prefer face-to-face conversations, but we do have them virtually also. The Thursdays typically, it's always at 1 o'clock, so 1 to 2, and those are in person. There's a virtual schedule. All of those schedules actually are on our WorkSourceLaw.com. So you can access all of our calendars, whatever classes are virtual, orientations, all of those things are on there for you. But you're just welcome to come in and our staff are there to help guide and point you in the right direction. So if you're not sure, say that. Need to get a job? All right, you're in the right place. We have Stephanie and I both from the business department. So building and developing those relationships with local business allows us to then help market and recruit new talent to come in to obtain those positions that these employers are saying we really need folks. And I can tell you across the board, in every industry, there are going to be things like you can't just go in and be a nurse because you said I wanted to be one today. Of course, you have to go to school and get a degree. But employers in every industry are less concerned about the training unless it's absolutely undeniably required. And more concerned about people who are ready to work, show up every day, and ready to just get in and get their hands dirty. You know, there are so many people that want to work and they don't show up. People are scheduling interviews and then not showing. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So we want those folks that are ready to go so we can help place you. If you're not ready to go, what do we need to do to get you there?
We also have a resource room. So when you come in the door, the first thing that you see is our resource room, which has flyers for all of the community partner resources that we have, job leads that might be available, resume templates, different workshops that are available. And then there's a whole bank of computers so that you can come in and do your job search. You can come in and apply for unemployment. You can come in and apply for SNAP benefits. And we have people that are out in the resource room actively ready and waiting to assist you with your job search.
We're considered a one-stop, and that means WorkSource is the agency who is made up of a variety of other departments. So you, Stephanie mentioned SNAP, so food benefits, you can come in there for those things. Veteran services are in our office, and employment services, we are not the unemployment office, but if you have to file a claim, then we can assist you with that. And then our Title I services, which is the training and the employment piece. So we have a lot of things going on, and the idea is that you come into one place and you don't have to run around town, waste time, waste money, and become very, very frustrated. I tend to do my best, hopefully, to look at things from a consumer perspective. That would be very annoying to me, quite honestly. Even just doing paperwork, if we don't think we can make you eligible, I'm not gonna make you sit down and fill out a bunch of papers, that's silly. So, we're not the experts in everything, but we do have great partnerships in the community to those who are. So if it was mental health services, not us, but let's connect you to the folks in our communities that do provide those services so that you get the things that you need to be as successful as you want and need to be. So.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm looking on your website for, you mentioned that there's an orientation that you recommend people come to if they don't know where to start. Is that the employment and training orientation?
Correct. Yep. It's also done in Russian. And
Russian and Ukrainian.
Russian and Ukrainian. There you go. We do have other, we have Spanish speakers in our office as well, so. And for any other languages that we don't have somebody in the office for, we connect with Language Link to make sure that you get all the things that you need. You don't have to go somewhere else. We work with whatever barriers might be existing, reduce the ones that we can, remove the rest, and get people.
Are you the trainers on the orientation day, or who does the training?
We both used to do it.
At one point or another.
But, so it's really our Title I team, because they're the ones who have grant funding. And so they will come in, they will just give a brief overview of what the general WorkSource services are. And then they will start going into the funding pieces. So when people are coming in saying, hey, I want to go to school, I need about $5,000 so that I can do that. Then we're going to start having some conversation, determining eligibility, pathway, training providers, and send off the checks so that people can go and get their certifications.
So people come in, go to the workshop, and then they get assigned to someone, and then they come back for another appointment generally.
Or they can do it online, they can do it through Zoom, they can make a phone call. We try to make our services as accessible, thank you, that's what I was looking for, as accessible as possible. Because we understand that transportation can be an issue for some, or they might not be comfortable coming into a state agency for whatever reason they're sick, right? Yes, doesn't cheap anymore. So we try to make it as accessible as possible, and thanks to COVID, it gave us that opportunity because we weren't allowed to do these services in person. So it helped us solidify an opportunity to make it more accessible for the future.
Well, I do see these ones that are coming up are all virtual, but you know, as the public library, you know, people can get on our public computers for free and use them. So you can even attend from here. who don't have access at home or any of our libraries, because they all have free public internet.
And you can always also come into the WorkSource office, even if it's a virtual orientation. We do have computers that will work for those.
We have private rooms if you wanted, if you were scheduled to do a Zoom interview or something like that, we could set you up with all the technical stuff that you need and a private space to be able to do the interview, or, and even if it's not an interview, we've had people come in, they have a medical appointment, same thing, they don't have access to the things that they need to do what needs to be done, so we provide that service. One of the things, as the new libraries, but, we don't have any timelines either on our computers, so as long as.
Oh, shade at the library.
We know, you can be there from 9 to
Oh.
5.
Well,
And we
people
have
know
people
that
there
here.
from
We
9
can
to
extend it. More here, the whole time we're open.
As long as you know they're lines out the door, you have
Yeah.
access to all.
Well, we have books, what do you got? I'm just kidding.
Jobs.
So good.
We also have a very, very wonderful program called the laptop loan program, where if you don't have a laptop in order to take home and do job search or do things that you need to do, you can actually borrow a laptop from WorkSource.
Yep, you have to come back once a week, so we can make sure you haven't destroyed the equipment. You still have it, and then you just sign it out again for a week at a time. So we'll just be good stewards of the things that you have, and you can use it as long as you need it.
I have more questions.
Of course.
I've been in like book groups for a month now, listening to people with their questions. So you had mentioned that people could have, like interview clothes and stuff like that. And one of the big things that people took away from reading this book was that, you know, people like having access to clothes for interviewing is difficult. And we've had a lot of community questions about how to support that, like either whether to donate physical clothing or where to provide funding for that. Like, how do you guys provide your clothing?
So we don't have it in the office,
Okay.
honestly.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna connect to our resource partners for those types of things. But I can tell you, the nonprofit work I did was working with low income and homeless individuals and families in Clark County for about 18 years. So I worked with Share for a large chunk of that time. One thing I learned by doing that is that men's resources in Clark County are pretty slim at best. So there's not a lot of places to go for men's clothing at home. And there were some agencies in Portland that shut down. So it's even fewer opportunities, but there are places like the Giving Closet. I used to work for Salvation Army too, so I would connect you there as well. Share has clothing and they get donations on a very regular basis. I still donate myself to there, so does my family, just because we know that there's a need for that. And really what it is community members are just bringing newer, used, slightly used items into those facilities and saying, hey, we know we've got folks that are staying here or utilizing your services, please, if they need it, take it.
It's more like an opportunity center, not the jobs.
They are full of opportunities. You're right. We'll stay. Yeah, so we'll connect and we'll try to find, and that's where I do enjoy the fact that we can give money.
Yeah.
For people to go shopping and get the things that they need, because there aren't as many resources as the need requires.
So when we get someone enrolled into our program, once they're eligible, we'll let them enroll. And then all they have to do is tell their case manager, hey, I'm in need of some interview clothes, and then we're able to go out and either get it delivered to the WorkSource office and then we can pick it up. We have a partner that will offer a voucher and then you go and you take it to Ross or
I'm shopping with people.
yeah, or we do that.
I don't know if these jeans look good, yeah.
Yeah, my favorite. It is.
Actually, anyway. What else you got?
Okay, so did you, I'm sorry, I missed the first part, but, did you talk about like the barriers for people who may have records, like how difficult that is?
Absolutely. Do you have a question? Trying to answer stuff.
Oh, I know. So you touched a little bit on like second chance employers who, you know, will hire people with records and things like that. How many of them do you feel like there are in this area?
It's growing, it really is
Yeah.
expanding, but I would say I still fit them all on one sheet of paper.
Yes.
So
I've got several manufacturers that are willing, you know, if you are willing to go get a CNC operator license, you can go work in manufacturing. That's my sector. So Karen works in healthcare, I work with manufacturing, and there's definitely a lot more opportunity in the manufacturing field.
Okay.
you know, I'm working currently with an employer who actually isn't healthcare, but, they came to us saying, we want to specifically hire somebody who has a background, which is odd. Like, people don't just show up and be like giving people a background.
Yeah.
As we're like, yes, thank you for that. And it's actually, they're building an opportunity. And the initial, really what it is, it's like setting up and tear down for events. So they know that that's not going to provide a full-time income to anybody. So what they're wanting to do is take whoever they hire and then put them also into a learning, a sales role. So they're creating their own book of business over time so that they eventually will have full-time work between both sides of that.
I love that, I remember.
I'm very
That's the first meeting I've been on.
So if you're an employer who's willing to hire people with records, is WorkSource the best place to go to try and get that out?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're able to do, when we're working with business is all of our services are free, whether you're a job seeker or an employer. But we help you with marketing, recruitment, we take your job postings, we put them in our lobbies to make sure that even if you're not connected directly with an employment specialist, if you're in our office, you have access to those employment opportunities, period.
So you have people promote businesses too.
That's what we do, absolutely. I mean, truly, our job is to go out, find out who are our employers locally. What do they do? Who are they hiring? Who do they need? What type of credentials or training is necessary to secure those jobs? Are you paying? Another thing, we have a quality job initiative. So we're also looking at what are you paying these people to come in and work? Is it even worth the time? You know, when gas is almost $5 an hour, you know, we want to make sure. And so we have to go with certain wage limits. So for Clark County, that's $27.04 an hour. So that is always our goal and our target to hit with any business for any position. Is that going to be 100%? But is that the goal? Yes.
Right.
Cowlitz County is $20.50. They are a more poverty-stricken community. So wages are typically much lower than Clark County. So that's a huge increase for that particular population there. And then Wahkiakum County, even smaller, less opportunity, is $19.56, and that's up from $14.99. So they've all had these huge jumps because it just costs a lot to live, period. You know, and the big push on that is because rent is so high that we have to have some kind of income that is going to support what our local rents actually are right now. And a lot of people, the first thing out of a lot of people is get a roommate. It's not safe for a lot of people to do that.
Especially
You may not have people that you know.
Yeah.
Get a roommate, you know, and then that's just, it's just not a good, it's just not good. So we're trying to get you, yes, to a place of being self-sufficient where you can do all the things on your own. And to be off of any other state or government programs so that, I mean, true self-sufficiency, you know, if you make enough, they can no longer need food assistance. You have the vehicle or whatever means of transportation you want, you've got that solid. You've got a place to rent, you've got clothes, you've got food, your basic needs are all being met. And you don't have to worry about government putting a thumb down on anymore.
So if somebody starts a marketing campaign and like, and watch, they can take it, you know, like, what is it called? WorkSource.
WorkSource?
You, they can go across the state with it.
Yeah.
They campaign with them.
Sure. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, so I was gonna say, you guys serve specifically this area, but we also we serve all of Southwest Washington, so I know you have offices in Lickitat, Convenient County as well, so.
We do. Yeah, they're all over the United States. There, larger communities have more than one office, but most.
Portland has 3. Of course they do.
We are good.
Yes.
Whatever this is, and it works for WorkSource City.
The library does not condone or endorse any of the comments made in this meeting.
But I,
Well, okay, fine, own it.
So, I mean, really, we want to help. And we can only help when we know that there's somebody who needs the assistance. So it's not ever a place of judgment, and it shouldn't be. We all walk in with our own stuff, which is really truly what it enables us to be able to serve our community. You know, we may not have walked in your exact shoes, but I bet you I know somebody who does.
And on that relocation piece, it's good if you're enrolled in the program to let your case manager know, hey, I'm relocating to XYZ County. And then they can reach out to XYZ County WorkSource or their employment department and say, hey, I have so-and-so, here's the situation, we'd like to get them connected with such and such resource.
I've worked with other offices too, maybe one of them.
I worked with Arizona.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you do any work for like entrepreneurs or like people who?
Yes,
Good question.
My goodness,
We
I'm old.
don't- You are. We don't get a lot of people that ask, honestly, but we do have some through our Title I funding. We do have some entrepreneurial funds. It's a very tough word to say.
It
So I think I did it right. But it's such a low amount of money. It doesn't, for a lot of people, doesn't feel hugely impactful. So it's a maximum of $2,500 and you really do have to work to get it. But we require that there be a training attached. And that's just, we want to make sure that you have tools to be a successful business. So that money usually is paying licensing, marketing, sometimes equipment, depending on what it is, since it's such a small amount of funding to attribute. I'm working something out in my head. I was just thinking, what if you started your own business? Then you become a business that is owned by somebody who identifies as Black, Indigenous, or Latinx. And now I have more money that I can support you. So there's really ways, like I said, I do like to.
Yes, I do.
I will always try to find a workaround to give you the biggest bang that you can get, 100%.
That's always our goal. Like she said, we'll screen you with as many grants as we can.
And then there are micro business incubators, right, in Vancouver that help with, are they one of your partners?
So like for entrepreneurs.
Sorry, I should have said, I should just
I
say
know.
like, people who want to start a business.
Business.
Yes.
So I am a huge fan of SCORE.
Me too.
And I do connect people to SCORE, and that's if you really truly are serious about running and operating your own company. You get connected to a mentor, and that mentor could have 10 to 35 years of successful business of their own, and you get to glean from their mistakes as well as their successes, and they help you all along the way. So you have to come in and really be, they're gonna give you a workbook, they're gonna assign you some things to do. You have regular meetings with these folks, but they'll help you write a business plan, help you find a location if you need a brick and mortar. It's all of the things. So they really truly help you get that from the idea to fruition. And they still are connected even after you open your doors. So, oh my gosh, this came up, I don't know what to do. Or what would you do if, or I had a really interesting interaction with an employee. They'll walk you through all of that stuff. So that's why I love them, and they're free. That's the best price ever.
The Small Business Association as well. We have NISO and NISO is another partner that has grant funding available for startup costs. CREDC,
It's economic growth and development, basically.
yeah.
Everyone's
Thank
on
you.
the acronym.
Yeah, I know, right? And then it's remembering who the acronym is.
Yes.
They actually can help you get placed in, like a brick and mortar as well. They have grant funding available for that. So yes, like if you're interested in starting your own business, come to WorkSource because we have partners in the community. That is our number one thing, is finding partners in the community. If we can't say yes, where can we send you where someone is going to say yes?
We have some cohort trainings, and we're working on building out some other ones that will hopefully happen on a continual loop throughout the year on a quarterly basis. And the goal behind doing that is you get a group of people that are gonna do the same exact thing at the same exact time with the same exact outcome, but now you have a whole group of support that is available to you and working with you and understanding the pains of what you're going through in terms of being a student at this stage of life or whatever's going on. So,
And they're all being funded by WorkSource, just
yeah,
like
100%. So like right now I have a CNA cohort and, we pay 100% of their training fees. And they're not just getting a CNA credential, they're getting, mental health, dementia, nursing delegation, diabetes delegation, medical terminology, electronic health records, and their CNA certification. So that means that they can work in-home and provide personal care to someone, or they can work anywhere along the way up to a hospital setting where they're actually able to earn those higher wages and move within that infrastructure or an income bigger, healthcare pathway or employment journey, you know, depending on what you want. But we will be developing those same types of cohorts with manufacturing, with construction, just trying to hit, we have in-demand sectors we're required by our community to continue to support. They're ones that have the greatest growth and development. They have the better wages. So that's why we're supporting them. Manufacturing, healthcare, construction, and logistics, and then technology, but IT is kind of woven through everything. So it's not really a standalone at this point. The biggest growth areas right now for Clark County are healthcare, social administration, and retail. I don't know why, but I know. And my best guess is to say because so many things shut down during COVID and now they're opening back up. So it looks like this huge growth that's happening. It's just bringing people back. I think I just started as
Target is also understand.
Yeah.
It's fine, they lock everything up anyway.
And I'm working on building cohorts right now for manufacturing training through the Machinist Institute. So manufacturing training cohorts are coming soon.
Oh, it's fabulous stuff.
This is amazing, like, this is. So, I mean, my next question is selfish,
Excellent.
it is, because we actually do, like, the library does programs with SCORE where they host programs through us. And so I'm wondering, I'm thinking about this and I'm wondering if WorkSource might be open to that, or if we could host like one of your orientations at one of our libraries, or like something to like expand accessibility to other audiences.
Orientation would be.
Because even, like, I have heard WorkSource's spiel like a dozen times now, but every time I'm learning something different, and there's so much.
There's so much, yeah.
That, you know, I think, like, I'm overwhelmed and I'm not even looking for a job.
I know.
So.
It can be quite a bit, and I would say, I mean, in all honesty, some people come in, they're real just kind of tunnel vision, they know exactly why they came through the door. I used to work our triage position, so my job was to work with every new person, first time in the office. And we were looking at what direction do you want to go? Like, are you just job searching? Do you need to go to school? Or do you need to file for unemployment? Like, where are we at? So that we can give you some next steps. And it's amazing how many people our community just doesn't even know about WorkSource. Has been here for, I don't know, over 20 years, easy. But didn't know, oh my gosh, if I would have known, I'd be 10 years ahead of myself, easily. You know, when you don't have to come out of pocket and you go to school, that's a huge thing for a lot of people. And you may not want to go to Clark College, maybe you want to go to a trade school, you want to do vocational training. Do that then.
Yeah, we want to do apprenticeships. We have connections with apprenticeships.
So there really is a lot and it can very quickly become overwhelming. And I would say we're Monday through Friday, so you don't have to take it all in Monday.
Right.
You know, but sit with somebody, ask questions. It doesn't have to be everything today. Little as you go, take the pieces that you need, make those work. And if they're not, come back so we can tweak that and move forward in a different direction or in a better pace maybe. One thing I will say is I will never work harder in somebody else's life than they do, but I will match you step for step.
I believe it.
Yeah.
From the short time I've known you, Karen, I believe it.
Yeah, I'll work alongside you, but I'd rather give you tools to where really you don't need me. So that's.
Yeah, I mean, that's our overall goal in the end. We're not giving you a fish, we're teaching you to fish.
How, are you different than partners in careers?
Good question.
Okay, well, I don't ever want to badmouth any of our community partners, because we really are a close partner with them. They do get grant funding, They don't have, we get a lot of grant funding our way. But we have a few extra things that they don't, whether it's the entrepreneurial funds, the childcare assistance for somebody who's going to, that's up to $7,500 that we can put towards somebody's childcare. And that's a huge benefit for a lot of people. It's the business service side of things. They don't have that type of connection with our local employers that we do. We don't just want somebody to come in and be like, I don't know what to do. This was a good experience, kind of, sort of, I'm not really sure, but we'll see. I came in, I had a need, that need was met. That's always our goal. Are we gonna be everybody's cup of tea? No. And, PIC has more entry level that they're doing, and we're going entry all the way up. We've had, people with doctorate degrees that came in, they got laid off, so they're like, I don't know what to do now. And that's where we're gonna step in. And it will help. If it's an entry level, first time job, that's fine, no problem, we'll work at your pace. We do have youth services also, so we have, it's a program called Next. They are in the backside of our parking lot, but they are our partners also. And we share our customers. So if you are 16 to 24, you can participate in Next services. It's for out of school youth. So it's either folks that have dropped out, they need to work on getting their GED, or when they're out of school for summer, and they are also applicable consumers of those services. They have showers, food. We consider ourselves the adult side, and they're the young adult side.